Hello, and on behalf of everyone at OTSCA, we hope you are staying safe and healthy. My name is Mary Michael, and I'm the Vice President of Patient Advocacy and Stakeholder Management at OTSCA America Pharmaceutical. I'm honored to be here today talking with three people who have fascinating stories and perspectives to share. Today, we're going to discuss what it means to provide care to a loved one during the COVID-19 pandemic, and how we can all find resources and support we need in these unprecedented times. I also wanted to share that today's discussion is part of a series of videos that we are creating. I would encourage everyone to explore the other videos on mental illness, Alzheimer's, and more. These videos are designed to help you navigate the new challenges we face. Today, our focus will be on caregiving and the many complex roles that people play when providing care to families and loved ones. Caregiving is one of the toughest jobs, and even in the best of times. And now there are added layers of complexity. So our goal today is to share with you stories, ideas, and resources that can help you and other caregivers thrive. I'm going to ask each of you to introduce yourself and the organizations that you represent, and we can start with that.
Hi, I'm Lisa Winstel, and I'm with the Caregiver Action Network. We support caregivers across the spectrum. So if you're caring for a loved one with mental illness, a parent with Alzheimer's, a neighbor who has MS, we're there for you with resources. I'm also a caregiver myself for my 87-year-old father who has cancer, in addition to working, and we're trying to round up some support for caregivers during the COVID-19 pandemic to make sure that the caregivers themselves are well and that they can continue to care for their loved ones.
I'm Vicki Reece. I'm from Joy of Mom, an online community of over 2.5 million moms who get together every day and usually all throughout the day to support each other on the most challenging and important journey we'll ever travel, which is motherhood. We spend a lot of time talking about mental well-being, about our own and our children's challenges. Many members of our community suffer from depression, bipolar, a lot of other illnesses and challenges. And we're very, moms are stretched thin, but all going on during the pandemic, it's just really testing all that we have. So I'm very honored to be part and to contribute in any way we can.
My name is Keith Johnson. I'm here today as at the invitation of the Depression Bipolar Support Alliance. I'm a member of a family and friends support group there. Our goal is to bring together caregivers of family, friends, children, adult parents who are suffering with various types of mental illness. We gather to support one another and just give ourselves some time to recognize our own issues while also kind of helping one another to understand how best to address or to work with the family members that we're there for. Our group has moved from in-person group once a week to online. That's been a very interesting transition. It's been the good news and the bad news is that we've continued to have new people join us. Some of those people are joining us because they feel the stress of the current situation, but the good news is that they still feel that that's an effective way for them to get support online, virtually, instead of together in the same room.
Thank you very much. Vicki, you connect with an incredible community of women through your work at Joy of Mom. It's no secret that women are often primary caregivers in their families. As we enter our second month of shelter in place due to COVID-19, what are you hearing from your moms in your community?
Mary, that's the the elephant in the room. Oh my goodness, I'm hearing a lot. We are talking about this daily as a group and among subgroups as well and one-on-one. A lot of anxiety right now. There's a lot of fear. There's a lot of pressure. Many of our community, there's special challenges within their families, and they are trying to navigate all of it, in addition to homeschooling, which is a new phenom, if you will, for those who have not been homeschooling. We are constantly reminding one another to be as gentle with themselves as they can. I know firsthand, we all know as moms, as parents, it's much easier said than done. But all the normal concerns and all the ways in which we're, again, stretched so thin, everything is really heightened right now. Many of our friends, they're affected by they or their husbands or single moms, losing their job, being on hiatus too long. So all these things contribute to a tremendous amount of stress. There's a lot of things on social that you see, and we talk about this as well, that are kind of, it's all these kids in activities and moms and clean houses, and that's really, and swimming pools, and that's really not the norm. It's lovely to see. A lot of people can get bummed out about that because it's that social, if you will, window and highlight reel, which many of them are, but everybody's really hanging on the best that they can and leaning on, in our case, but I know in many, in their tribe, in their virtual communities and support groups. And that's really what Joy of Mom is and what it is for one another. So our message is just to be as gentle with yourself as you can. Don't lose yourself in doing this, knowing you're doing, the best you can, and just having hope and faith to that one day we will get through this, and be proud of how we're soldiering on during this.
Thank you. So let me ask you, you've mentioned a lot of different concerns that people have, whether it's employment or now they're homeschooling or they're really sandwiched in, right, between caregiving for maybe their children and then a loved one. I'm curious from your perspective, are there any additional concerns that they voice? So what are you hearing largely from your community beyond, sort of what we hear in the general population, if you will?
I mean, the number one thing is anxiety. And from anxiety, it slips into depression and really feeling, not to sound dramatic, but we've been a lifeline for one another. Our moms have such close friendships when we jump on our live streams, which we always do, on Tuesday morning coffee chat and Thursday temperature check, which is really how we're doing inside. But we have all these micro pop-ins, and then frankly, 24/7 in our private group, which is all about helping and supporting one another. But the overall thing is this cloud, a lot of our moms are dealing with health issues personally and with their parents. A lot of them are caregivers. We have had community members that have challenges with their children as well. We did a town hall Zoom last week, and one of the moms was joining from hospital where her son was having chemotherapy. And it was just heartbreaking, and the support that she received, and the follow-up, my phone blowing up from people who have my cell phone saying, where can they send care packages to her? They can't stop thinking about her. Did she give you her address? It's incredible the level of empathy and compassion and support moms have for each other. And it's a type of feeling and community you want to share, where it's all about, helping and sharing and supporting, so it's, I don't want to say painfully raw. It's real and genuine and authentic and very vulnerable.
Vicki, that's awesome. And thank you so much for creating such an organization or a community of women who are supporting one another. So I really appreciate you sharing some of those stories. So Keith, let me turn to you because you've been very open about sharing your journey and providing care to some family members affected by mental illness. And you've also shared recently that your family is doing well, thank goodness, and that you've developed solutions in the home that are working. Now more than ever is a time when we should celebrate our small successes and share with others. So would you mind talking us through some of these solutions that are working for your family, which might also work for other families? Think about how they might be able to, help others who might find themselves in the same situation that you're in.
For us, we're doing, my wife had a piano teacher when she was young that used this phrase, separately and together. And so, there's 4 of us in a reasonably sized house. We're not packed in like sardines. And we're spending time together. We're spending time alone. We're all in different ways reaching out to different people. My son goes on long walks and talks with several different friends of his that are, young adults living in different cities, some of them living on their own, some of them in roommate situations that they're not happy about, that they have to stay with. And so he stays in touch with them and uses that as one of his ways of supporting himself. My daughter's running online Dungeons and Dragons games with friends and staying in touch with her friends. And my wife and I we have various phone calls that we make to different people, but also some online get-togethers. We have a weekly Zoom video happy hour on Sundays, and we've gotten together with a couple of other friends, started to do some family stuff like that. So those are all sort of these individual ways that we get some distance from one another. And then when we come together, my family in particular, we get together over food and movies or television stuff. So we cook dinner together. We have dinner together. We've found a couple of dumb TV shows that are just silly and that make us laugh. And so we can watch those together. That's been kind of the current flow of our family since, in the last couple of months now. My son is diagnosed with bipolar. So every time he has a raucous conversation with a friend of his, I have to take my step back and not question him about whether or not symptoms are developing. But also, if I do see something escalating, I have to figure out how to say something to him. And especially because we're in sort of a confined space, whenever I need to do that, I also step away at the same time and give him a chance to digest what I've observed. Even if that is just like, hey, you seemed a little escalated there. How are you feeling? And almost like just turn around and walk away rather than have any sort of room for confrontation in the moment. And it's not like avoiding the confrontation. It's allowing it some room to develop into something else before it has to be just an argument about something. So it's finding those things that you have in common and find ways to leverage them, and then find ways to give one another space. Those have been the two biggest things for us is being able to find that balance.
Thank you, Keith. I think you really simplified it there at the end, which is, boiling it down to allowing yourselves to come together and find those commonalities, right? And then I think giving yourself space, I think, is very, very important, because even though we're isolated together, sometimes it's good to have kind of alone time to the best of your ability. Yeah. So I think that's what you're indicating in your feedback. So thank you for that. So Lisa, the Caregiver Action Network, I've known about you guys for many years now and appreciate all the efforts that you put forth to support the caregiving community. So I know that you're focused on improving the quality of life for people who care for families and other loved ones. So how have your priorities changed since the COVID-19 pandemic in terms of some of the programming and some of the support and resources that you might be concentrating your efforts on these days?
Oh, thanks, Mary. And priorities really shifted, and they shifted very quickly. As soon as we all started to shelter in place and everything started to roll, so quickly downhill, we were listening to caregivers. We were, doing our listening online, people reaching out to us through social media, through our caregiver help desk, and so on, and really hearing what it was that they were worried about and how this was affecting their lives. And the big moment, the big aha that we had was that family caregivers have always been really awesome at planning and managing. I mean, I'm looking at Keith and at Vicki, and I'm going, these are two people who, know how to take care of it all. And then this comes along, and the pandemic, and nobody could plan for it. Nobody could anticipate it. It's almost like every single family caregiver in the nation suddenly was facing a catastrophic diagnosis on top of what they were already doing. So what we've really been focusing on is trying to help people figure out their COVID caregiving plan. What are those elements? Reaching out to their loved one's medical team and saying, how do you want us to engage from here? Do you want to hear from us? How should we handle different episodes or crises or moments where we just need healthcare? Sort of reevaluating what that regular daily caregiving plan would have to be. But mostly what we've been doing is really emphasizing a message that we've always had, which is reminding caregivers to take care of themselves. Everybody hears it. Oh my gosh, if you tell me one more time to take care of myself, I might scream. Tell me how I'm going to do it, right? I've already been strong. Well, now we're trying to help people stay strong because it's really challenging. I mean, maybe, you've got your kids at home and you're homeschooling like you've never had to do before, and you've got an aging parent. They might just be 10, 15, 20 miles away. It might not really be long distance caregiving per se, but all of a sudden you can't just go there whenever they need something. So we're trying to help caregivers deal with those challenges. And we've put together a page of COVID caregiving tips specifically to help them with that, things that they wouldn't normally have to think about as a caregiver, but that they need to pay a little more attention to now.
Thank you, Lisa. That is terrific. So, Vicki, I wanted to turn to you because, you're talking to so many people. Can you tell us about some of the ideas, solutions, and resources that moms in your network are bringing to you and sharing with others? So, and what are they really excited about? Because you have a virtual community and things are going viral so fast. I'm just curious if there's a couple of things that you can share with us that might be helpful to our viewer.
A big gateway for me and for all of us is gratitude. So with our moms, we always talk about our friends and share about what we're grateful for and reminding each other to pay attention in these moments. And that the togetherness, I feel like when this is over, we're going to be missing this home time with family. And we're being forced now to have the opportunity to make the most of this time. A lot of moms' children, especially kids around between like 6 to 8 and 9 years old, and more so boys for whatever reason, are feeling that they really feeling anxious and uncomfortable that they're not playing with their friends and that they're missing that social contact. And so what we've talked about and what a lot of our friends are doing Zoom or whatever, FaceTime, whatever choices they're doing, play dates, just like how moms are having, and Keith, as you said, family, video happy hour, but are doing these play dates and get-togethers with kids. And that was something we talked about Tuesday. And then I heard later in the day Tuesday, several friends were already starting to do that, and they noticed a difference. So if there's ways that with our children that they're able to, we're able to share other ways that they can stay in touch with friends, and it could be with their friends and their moms next to each other. It's that connection is really important.
I think those are really great suggestions. And I love the Zoom play dates. So it's just basically how can you be creative about transferring some of those in-person activities to online and using the current technologies, to your point. So I think that's an excellent point.